Okay, so this is a DB podcast, a dark podcast. When you gaze into the abyss gazes back into you. And when the abyss gazes back into you, you gaze back into the abyss. Whatever's within the darkness shines within the light. Read the fucking screen, not announcing it. Okay. So in Stranger Things, girl 11 and the boy Will. Okay. The girl 11 isn't hijacked. She's not possessed. She's not nothing like that. She's just aware. Okay. She's very tuned in. She received her abilities, her awareness from the genetics, which represents her psychological awareness. Okay. Her psychological, her spiritual, and okay, cool. From her mother's line, her maternal line. Okay. Her mother when she was in the womb. And that is how she was able to then from then on tune into her abilities without having to be without having to basically deepen her awareness while she existed consciously outside of the womb. So Bobby thinks that Eleven's abilities only were able to work because she had to have already been hypersensitive due to the experimentation, which only occurred through the traumatic experience of her maternal line, which is why she manifested with those abilities, with that state of awareness, when she incarnated, when she was what mortals refer to as born, but it's not born, it's just incarnated, okay? So that would mean that just like Will, they had to have gone through both what they believed to be a moment or what did you say, Bobby? They both felt trapped in their minds. And feeling trapped in their mind, and what is that called again? The Matrix. Okay. Because it's the mind tricking itself into believing that it's what? Trapped in the exactly. And what did they teach you in Rick and Morty? Fuck that. Fuck that. Yes, Fuck. No cap. Yes, no kipper, bro. No kipper. Yes. So Bobby thinks that okay, you're lost now. Okay, cool. That's fine, Bobby. It's Bobby. It's fine. So the girl 11 inside Stranger Things basically is hypersensitive. Deep concentrations of gray matter. Highly in tuned. She's already hyper aware because of her genetic traumatic transference from her mother, right? Disposition, which means she already has those genetics unlocked because of her awareness. So meaning when she deepens her awareness, when you deepen your awareness, your genetics unlock codes that are dormant, according to scientists and psychologists, within the mind. Oops, within the mind. I thought genetics were inside your vessel. Where the fuck do you think the vessel manifested from? The mind. Wait, what do you mean? Because when conception happens, that's a form of a manifestation. Oh, and because the mind is manifesting constantly, then conception is a constant manifestation of. Oh, is that why the mother and the kid looks the same? Like why they have resemblance? Is that why the daddy looks the same as the girl, and the girl looks like his mom? I mean, and the boy looks like his mom. I mean, you you noticed that I'm just observing. Okay, I'm just here. Okay, if you believe that, okay, it's not a big deal, right? But according to scientists, okay, according to scientists and geneticists, okay, that seems to be the case, right? Okay, yes, exactly, that's true. Anyways, so that's Samantha's perspective. So Samantha feels like that's true. I mean, I'm not arguing with Samantha. Okay, her name starts with an S. She might be a snake. Anyways, so if this is how that works, and she has all these components along with DMT, gamma radiation, and melatonin. Melatonin is, I thought that was for sleeping. No, Samantha, it's not just for sleeping. Melatonin helps you tune into a psychedelic state. DMT is the psychedelic state. Gamma radiation is basically how deeply you are in that psychedelic state. Okay? So what's the gray matter for? The gray matter for is basically how I will put it as how in tuned, how attached you are, like how capable, how much capability you have within that psychedelic state. So basically, like how strong your abilities are. Basically. Okay. So it's like it goes in and in and in. What is that like? A swirl? Yeah, like a swirl. Exactly. So it's like a screwdriver. Just keeps going in and in and in. But that's called ascension. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because ascension is the process of enlightenment through awakening, or enlightenment and awakening. Descension is ignorance due to distortion and, willful ignorance, as well as disassociation. Okay. Huh. So if that makes sense, how would you know if someone has this though? Well, remember the Gateway program and the kids and the special ed kids and the gifted and talented program? You know how they have similar psychological processing, activity, as well as 11 and Will do, because of their traumatic experiences, as well as their genetic expressions, as well as their genetic codes. And you remember Will's mommy, she was on some crack shit. She was a cuckoo to the town. She was drinking, she did drugs. And what does that do? It puts you in a psychedelic state, right, Samantha? I mean, wait, isn't that true, Samantha? Be honest, Samantha. I mean, yeah, but like, what the fuck does that have to do with Will? Well, you remember how Eleven's mom was experimented on, and she didn't do that shit. Didn't it kind of increase her awareness? Activate her hypersensitivity, made her hypersensitive temporarily. But they created it so that it could be permanent through what? The salt and water, right? Right? What is salt again? Crystals, right? And what do you have in your brain and in your skull? Crystals, right? And crystals activate the firing of neurons, right? Okay. I mean, which is how Eleven's brain developed while she was inside the womb, which allowed her to be capable of withstanding psychological trauma, but also activating her awareness so she could protect herself, which is her aura, basically becoming, what do you think it's called to mortals, Samantha? Stronger, right? Okay, so she tuned it. Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right, so if that's the case, then the kids in the Gateway program, gifted and talented, special ed, they all have this in common. That would mean the ones with the psychological abilities, or the awareness to tune into these psychological abilities, would be neurodivergence. And if everyone's neurodivergent, which one are we talking about? Well, most likely the most common ones, the ones with a higher IQ, which are the gifted ones. Actually, deeper IQ, actually, is what it's truly called. But mortals call it a higher IQ, yeah? Isn't that true, Samantha? Exactly. As well as the autistic ones, dyslexic ones, dyscalculia, schizophrenic, high DMT, higher DMT concentration, and then melatonin. Isn't that true? They tell them that they're seeing hallucinations, don't they? Exactly. As well as ADHD. What is ADHD? Hypersensitivity to... Oh, okay. Hypersensitivity to stimuli, okay? As well as senses. And autism has all of those. They're hypersensitive as well. They also have a very deep concentration of gray matter. Oh my gosh, OCD. What about OCD? I mean, I'm not telling you the rabbit is not like the hare. Okay. So, and then what else is there? So yeah, autism, dyslexia, all of those, as well as HSD, hypersensitivity disorder.